The time of the Tau is nearly upon us. With the awesome new Crute box going up for pre-order next weekend, it is also your first place to get your hands on the new Tau codex. Now, Tau as an army, I have to say, don't really do a lot for me. I mean, it's just an army I've never really had that much interest in. But the new Crute stuff does look quite cool, I have to say. So if you are a fan of that, or you just like the Tau in general, you will certainly want to be grabbing the box to get those models and the new codex. And to further boost the hype for it, for all of you Battlesuit lovers out there, there is a Warhammer community article today which seems to be pointing us towards a brand new detachment, which is aimed at letting you bring as many of those chunky boys as you possibly can. And from the looks of it, it also brings some fairly nice benefits to improve your damage output too. So in the new codex, there is a new detachment which is called the Retaliation Cadre, and alongside the Tau army rule of For the Greater Good, which lets you use the Marker Light system to boost your ballistic skill, the unique detachment rule of Bonded Heroes makes your shooting even more terrifying. What this rule does is it allows a battlesuit unit, whenever it shoots at an enemy unit within 12 inches, to increase the strength of its guns by 1, and then when the enemy unit is within 6 inches, you also get +1 AP on top of that. So now with this rule, you can massively increase your ability to wound, and also massively increase your ability to punch through enemy armor, and dropping a few squads of suits danger close to an enemy will absolutely allow you to unleash a devastating amount of missiles, plasma, melter, even flamers right into the enemy lines really quickly and really efficiently. It is just all told a really solid detachment rule, I think. Yes, you do need to be quite close to get the most out of it, which is a downside for Tau, but Battlesuits having Deep Strike, they can really easily get to that 12-inch range and boost things like their plasma to strength 9, their fusion to strength 10, even burst cannons going to strength 6 can massively help against things like Terminators. The extra AP is a bonus cherry on top, and when you do get that close to your opponent, you can be getting even things like your burst cannon and your flamers to -1 AP, which is a really big step, but even things like plasma to -4 or fusion to -5 can mean you are cutting through pretty much every single enemy armor save that they thought they would be able to make. So you do need to get close, but you do get a lot of benefits for it, and you also get some great rules to help you get close and also protect you from enemy retaliation. So you get a stratagem called the Shortened Blade, and it's 2 CP, so it's not super cheap, but it allows you to set up a unit that has come in from Deep Strike 3 inches away from the enemy, so you can immediately get a big unit right into that 6-inch range and get both +1 strength and +1 AP on things like your flamers or your melter to really ruin your opponent's day. And against something like a Space Marine, a regular Tau flamer goes from doing around 0.5 wounds to a much more impressive 1.16, more than doubling the output by being in that 6-inch range, and that is from 1 flamer. So using this stratagem on, say, a squad of 6 battlesuits, each with 2 flamers, would allow you to go from killing about 3.5 Marines to killing over 7 of them. So it is a monumental boost in your output, and obviously that's great for things like the flamers, but equally for things like your fusion, it will allow you to get into that melter range and really boost your damage and your strength and your AP for taking out all those tougher vehicles and tanks, and you will be able to cut through enemy vehicles so easily by dropping a big squad 3 inches away from them. They also showed off another strat which is more defensive, the Torch Star Gambit. This is only 1 CP, and you use it on a battlesuit unit that has shot, and if it's not in engagement range, it can immediately move. So now you can drop your squad in, unleash a load of firepower into the enemy, and then make a sneaky 10-inch move to get out of line of sight, or just get onto an objective, or at the very least make an enemy charge the following turn that much more difficult for them. So this detachment to me seems to really reward you for piling on a huge amount of overwhelming force and damage, but then equally being really sneaky and slippery and taking advantage of your great movement to avoid combats that you don't want to be in, and just to really frustrate your opponent that's trying to engage your battlesuits, all while being close enough to do a load of damage to them, but then just zipping out of their range when they try to fight you back. What they also reveal in the new codex is that battlesuits now, instead of being just one datasheet, are actually split into 3 different ones. Like the Space Marine Gladiator tanks or the Storm Speeders, you can now bring battlesuits in 3 data slates. You can bring them in the Sunforge variant, in the Fire Knife variant, or in the Star Scythe variant. Each has a different loadout and, crucially, a different special rule to help them get the most out of what they try to do. So the Fire Knife is your generic plasma rifle or missile pod suit, which is great for taking out tougher elite infantry. The Star Scythe is your anti-chaff and anti-horde, lets you bring a load of flamers and burst cannons for cutting down things like gaunts and even orcs and guardsmen, whilst the Sunforge is your anti-tank. These boys just bring all of the fusion, and obviously they are brilliant at destroying vehicles. Now, as I said, the reason that having each of these in a separate datasheet is so good is because it means GW can make custom rules to go with them, and the Sunforge variant get even more dangerous with their unit ability, which is just called Sunforge, and what it does is it allows them to reroll wound and damage rolls against monsters and vehicles. So if you are paying attention, yes, that does mean if you are within 6 inches of your opponent, your Sunforge battlesuits can be firing Strength 10 Fusion, which will be -5 AP, doing d6 plus 2 damage, and they will be rerolling their wound and their damage rolls. And that is just insanely good. It means almost nothing will be able to survive a unit of these dropping in 3 inches away with the stratagem and just ruining a vehicle in a single volley. A squad of 6 can pretty much guarantee arriving 3 inches away and wiping out basically 2 Space Marine Gladiator tanks alone, so they really are utterly terrifying, and they are in many ways just better Space Marine Eradicators. Obviously this is all going to be price dependent, but in terms of what they can do and their actual stat line and rules, they seem to me to just be better Space Marine Eradicators. So whilst these guys are really good at killing vehicles, even the Fire Knife or the Star Scythe variants, they will be incredibly useful. They will allow you to drop in a really unique, specified unit for taking out whatever is in your way, whether that's vehicles or 20 gaunts or 10 Terminators. You can pick the right squad to go right down next to them and just unleash a load of damage into them. What's also a really good advantage about this is obviously the fact that they are separate datasheets means that you can now bring practically a full battlesuit army. You can bring, instead of just 3 units of battlesuits, you can now bring 3 units of the Sunforge, 3 units of the Star Scythe, and 3 units of the Fire Knife variants. So that allows you to bring a much bigger selection rather than being just restricted to those 3 units because of how 10th edition works. You can now bring up to 9 units of battlesuits and just bring the ones that you need the most, or just, as I said, go for a full battlesuit army and bring all of the battlesuits, because they do work really well with your detachment rule. One concern I do have is that none of these loadouts listed mention the cyclic Iron Blaster, and so I do think we might see that disappear from the codex. It seems, from what the article says, that the battlesuit options will be limited to the old classics of the burst cannon, the fusion blaster, the missile pod, the plasma rifle, and the flamer. That is my impression anyway. I may be wrong, but in the era of homogenization from GW, I wouldn't be surprised that some of the more esoteric options go away and we just have those more plain options which are in the kit. I don't think the cyclic ion blaster is even in the kit, so I would imagine that probably is going away in the new codex. The final thing we see in this preview is some rules for the Tau commanders in Battlesuits. The Enforcer is more defensive. It allows him and his unit to worsen incoming AP by 1, which is really solid on a toughness 5 4 wound unit with a 3-up save. This will allow you to be much more durable against those tougher anti-elite guns like Plasma and even Melter, whilst the Cold Star suit is your speedy suit. When he joins a unit, he grants the unit not only a 12-inch move instead of their regular 10-inch, but also the assault rule on all their weapons. So now you can make a super fast, really zippy unit to go around the board, grab objectives, harass the opponent, and importantly, much more quickly get into that 6-inch range to get the most out of your Bonded Heroes detachment rule. I have to say, I am a really big fan of everything I've seen here. As I said, I'm not a big Tau player, so how amazing this will all be in practice, I just don't know. But the idea of running a full battlesuit army and now having some unique data sheets for each loadout, which GW can point up more accurately rather than lumping them all into the same price bracket, as well as giving each of them some unique custom rules to make them good at what they're meant for based on their loadout, is I think a really solid move from GW, and I really am glad they've done that. And I love the idea of the detachment rule in general as well. I like the idea of it allowing you to bring this super deadly shooty force that is also really mobile and really in your face. I think Farsight would love it, and I just think it's going to look and play really fun on the battlefield. So that is it for today. What do you make of the Tau rules we have seen so far? And will you be trying out an all battlesuit army when the codex releases? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.